What?
Welcome back, guys.
That guy just lost his job, and welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. I'm Jared Kale, and we are getting our next game ready for you. It's a ZVZ between Liquid Ret and Acer Paranoid. How excited are you guys for another ZVZ?
Well, I do like Infestors
Me too.
when I don't have to play against them.
Very fun to watch, huh?
And both of these guys did lose to Verity in the winner's bracket, so we haven't actually seen their ZVZ yet.
I was talking a bit with Rhett. I went to the players area for a while, and he was telling me that he thought he was going to be tough against Paranoid, because apparently Paranoid is a good CVZ.
Oh.
And whoever wins this match is going to go on to face Verity again, who knocked them both into the lower bracket.
Verity's already qualified.
Oh, qualified?
Yeah,
They're not going to play that?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the winner of the upper bracket,
secures his
he's through.
Yes. All right.
And then the loser of the losers, the winner of the losers bracket, he's through.
All right.
Yeah. So they won't do
Sweet.
that.
So they're playing for their last spot here. I
Yeah,
guess.
winner
awesome.
moves on. Loser is going home.
I love stakes, man. Makes it really exciting.
They are tasty.
They are. Are we in the game? Are the players in the game?
We are not even at that point.
No?
We are close, but we are not there. First map is on Daybreak. Zerg favored map. Expected Zerg to win this one.
100% win ratio on this map.
For this
Zerg,
matchup.
yeah.
For Zerg.
And it's this will be a bit. This will mess with your mind a bit, but they also have a 0% win rate on this map simultaneously. Isn't that?
How crazy is that?
Universe is one dimension, man.
I don't know if that actually made any sense.
It did. It made every bit of sense. You can think about that later, man. You're a pro gamer. Your brain might be a bit slower. No, I don't even know. We're just waiting for Acer Paranoid to connect to the game, and to get right into that.
Yep.
Make a call here on what we're gonna see. What kind of build?
I mean, Rhett is the king of drones.
He is.
And in the game of drones, you make drones or you die. So I would expect that he would be making a lot of drones.
And Paranoid too. I don't feel like Paranoid is one of those players who like to play overly aggressive. He's also a macro player, I feel, who likes to get up to a lot of drones. So we might see they might try to out-drone each other here.
We may see the first game over 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll call it double 10 pool, just because, man. I'll be different, and when I'm right, everyone will think I'm so smart. It'll be great.
It is 100% not double 10 pool.
Okay.
What shall we bet? What shall we throw down?
Hey, 100% not. Well, I would need some odds. You have to give me some kind of really good odds.
Why would I give you really good odds?
Well, because my 0% chance of winning doesn't make me want to bet very much.
Okay, well, I just declared that it was a 0% chance of winning.
All right, you already win. You win ego, and everyone thinks
wow, that was easy.
You're very cool at home.
You make it sound like such a bad thing.
Being really cool?
Yeah, that was basically, you were like, everybody thinks you are very handsome, and that is horrible, and you should be ashamed. That was like basically what you just said to me.
Maybe I'm subtly sarcastic.
Only subtly?
Maybe not so much. I don't know.
I think this is not really the analysis table right now, but as soon as we transfer the commentary to Caldo and Apollo, since they both are very good with Zerg, they will start explaining us what we might see here and make some predictions.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll just throw a 2-0 Red out there. Overall, I have no.
For who?
For who?
For Ret.
Oh, okay.
You think Ret's going to 2-0?
2-0 Ret. I have no reason for that.
No.
No, I just said it.
It's going to be 2-1.
I have to say something. So
I'm going to go 2-1 Paranoid.
Okay, 2-1 for Red here then.
I've been right in all of my predictions thus far.
Yeah.
And I will continue to be right.
You got lucky. You had no clue like how Verdi played and stuff.
Like. I didn't get lucky. I knew.
You just went to the tracks and said
the people
bet on random horses. Like you had no idea who was good or something.
I already saw him play. I knew.
All right, we are ready. The game is loading. Ret versus Paranoid. Let's give it to the casters.
Well, I'm going to jump straight on that, and I think Paranoid's going to do really well. Because I know Paranoid has a good Zerg versus Zerg.
He definitely has, and I can certainly see him win with the 2-1. I have to agree with QXC that if he wins, it's going to be a 2-1. But I want to thank those guys at the troll desk over there. They're doing an amazing job today, and certainly having a lot of fun.
At tournaments, it's always good to have a troll desk. I mean, analyst desk, you know.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's entertaining.
They are entertaining me. Well, we're off camera. I'm quite happy here, sitting, watching Jarrett Kale, at Jarrett Kale on Twitter, make fun of himself.
not only of himself. I mean, QXC, I actually pity him a little bit. He's sitting in the middle right there. A big troll to the left with Todd, then he has Jared to the right, so it's always a little bit tough to deal with that. But he does a good job.
Yes.
Does really well.
Doing a good job.
But of course we are focusing on our ZVZ right now. This is another match that will decide who's gonna end up in the tournament tomorrow. We have a Zerg versus Zerg with, to the top right of Daybreak, our first map. The first Zerg player being Acer's Paranoid. And his opponent at the bottom left is, of course, the player from the Netherlands. It is Liquid Red.
And I know everybody is expecting and probably hoping that Liquid Red's going to take up the win, but I truly believe that Paranoid is going to put up a good fight. We haven't seen a lot from Paranoid today. Both of these players did lose versus Verdi, the Russian Protoss, earlier today. But Paranoid isn't a new player, guys. He actually played Brood War at a good competitive level for Templar of Twilight's TOT, which is one of the biggest European clans in Brood War for a very long time.
I still remember him when he was transitioning to StarCraft 2 and when he then joined Mousesports and was playing for the team, and everyone expected him just to make this giant leap, and it didn't really happen. He was always one of those good European players that just flew a bit under the radar. But this could be one of the tournaments where he gets far and where he could make his first, the first upset in the tournament. If Red doesn't get out here, a lot of people want him to advance. He's a fan favorite, but Paranoid, as you said, has a good Zerg versus Zerg, and he could do it.
And Paranoid's never really had a good support from a good team to back him in StarCraft 2 before. He played for NYM, he played for Mousesports at the beginning of time, I think it was, in StarCraft 2. But with Acer and the amount of good players they have behind them, Nurture, of course, frontlining it, they have Bly as well, he has a lot of people to bounce ideas off. And we're really seeing that happen as of recent, especially when he played in the World Cyber Games. He managed to bring down a big Zerg player such as Dignitas Killer. I think that was a massive win for him, personally and for his team. And if he's able to beat Red now, he will not only guarantee himself a spot in the main tournament, he's going to knock Liquid Red out of an open bracket where he was pretty much everybody thought guaranteed to move through.
Yeah, and then Verdi happened to Red. This was one of the games where Red was not happy. That Immortal push on Antigua Shipyard definitely did a number on him. So how does it affect him in his mindset for the tournament itself? That's what we're going to find out right now. Paranoid, if you go down his match list, you will see that he is really good at ZVZ. He lost to Giant, one of the few Zerg players that was able to defeat him. There was a DreamHack Bucharest in the second group phase. But right now we have both of them just opening up, as our guys at the analysis desk, the troll desk, already assumed. They're both going for the macro game.
Yeah, it's Daybreak. You can throw in an early pull here if you want to, but that's trying to punish somebody, expecting them to go hatchery first. And in a game one of a best of three, a very important best of three for both of these players, nobody's going to take the risk. They're just going to open up with the go-to build on Daybreak, and probably most Zerg vs. Zergs ever recent.
I would have actually expected one of those guys to go for a 10 pull with gas, which is right now one of those go-to builds in the GSL. And we've seen this in so many games where DIG was playing, where Lino was playing, on Daybreak in particular. One player opening up with the 10 pull, going into gas, and if you open up with the hatch first, it is so difficult to hold that.
That's right.
But now we have both of them with the same timings here for the speed. They are both just going into normal macro game. So it's going to be interesting to see what we have in terms of mid-game transitions.
Pretty much mirrored now until this very second where we see Paranoid building a third queen. Building a third queen tells us that he will try to play this a little bit more defensively. So he will be looking to spread creep a little bit earlier. Maybe try to grab a third base with a Roach Horn or something along those lines. Maybe make use of that creep spread. Ret, though, on the other hand, is still playing this very normal. His next 50 gas after speed was into the Baneling Nest, a Spine Crawler behind the Baneling Nest to kind of fortify it as well.
Yeah, and you know, with him getting the third queen, this allows him to skip the Baneling Nest to a certain extent. Usually what you try to do on a map like Daybreak is get your own Baneling Nest out, even if you don't want to put on aggression. You need a few defensive ones, but now he can block the ramp. If he sees it coming, block the ramp and just rely on the roaches. It buys him a bit more time.
This also could be an all-in from Paranoid, and I think it's going to be quite a strong attack now with 6 Lings being built. Oh no, hold that thought, he is building a drone again, so we'll just have to find out. 8 Lings maybe just to feel out the game a little bit more. Speed's just about to complete. He can use those Lings to move across the map with speed, check out what Red is doing, and he is building 7 more drones. And so it might be the formal version I mentioned before, which is going to be Roaches into a third base here. And he's trying to deny the scout, but Rhett gets in there, and he doesn't see the Roach Horn, but he does see the lack of layer. So that's quite scary, actually, for Rhett. Not seeing a layer, that may panic him a little bit, and he immediately morphs Banelings, because not seeing a layer at this stage, a layer, comes down about 6 minutes. not seeing a layer at 630 that could be scary for Red.
And we have Paranoid now dropping a lot of gas, whereas the Zerglings of Paranoid are trying to pressure Red a bit. Of course, those Banelings are a problem, but he gets into the main base regardless. Gets all those scouting information now, knows there's no second gas in the main just yet. He sees the timing for the lair, is even able to pick up another drone.
Yeah, he's doing good with his lings, but in the background he forgot his layer. He should have started the layer a long time ago, like 200 gas ago. So we're looking at like 40 seconds, 50 seconds. That's rather late there, and that's going to give Rhett a bit of an advantage going into the next part of the game, which is going to be looking to take a third base. Rhett's going to have roach speed out faster. He can also have the infestation pit down faster as well.
And the third base is what it's all about if we go into a long game in Zerg versus Zerg. This extra gas just gives you so many options.
That's right. I mean, it's all about the gas from now on out. From here on out, we're not really going to see any more attacks. 10 drones for Paranoid, 5 drones for Rhett, 6, 7 drones for Rhett. So we're definitely moving on to the next stage. Double evolution chamber, a third one coming down to make sure there's a wall off in case we see a lot of Ling heavy play, because he's not exactly sure exactly what Rhett's doing. He knows that obviously Rhett's looking to take a third base, but is it Ling heavy? Is it Roach heavy? Is it a fast infestation pit? He's not quite sure, so he is covering those angles before looking to take his own third.
And the upgrades are a little bit faster for Paranoid with this Roach Warren already completed. We have the Roach speed, he's going for Overlord speed too. You can really see that he's trying to get those double upgrades. Something that Red at this point doesn't really do, but he will have a much earlier third base, whereas Paranoid is now the first one to go into the tag, adding the infestation pit.
That's right, and I mean, taking a third base, if you compare it to other matchups, it's quite a big thing. It's not as big here. Obviously, the gases are the most important thing. If Rhett doesn't utilize it straight away, then it's almost redundant. You know, it turns into a macro hatch.
That's a really good point. That's one of the things that always baffles me a little bit, especially when you have even the Mutalisk versus Mutalisk. You see the players trying to take this third, but the timings for the extractors are so off. Most Zerg players don't build those extractors while the hatch is still being built. So they lose a lot of precious time that they could use to add the extra gas and then get ahead in the Mutalisk count, in Infestor counts.
That's right. But Rhett isn't the one with tech. He doesn't have an infestation. Yeah. He doesn't have a spy, so he's not rushing to get the gases down compared to Paranoid, who is. So he should be building extractors really early on. On his third base, he already has one building before the hatchery is even complete. That shows us that how hungry, how thirsty he is to get that Vespian gas to build these infestors, to increase his army value more so than its strength, because right at this moment, Rhett's the one building the army. He's got a lot of roaches down and more are coming out. With 5 overlords coming, we may not even see infestors played at all from Red. He may try to finish the game very shortly with a low drone count, but a heavy roach count, and this is called a timing before the infestors reach a critical amount.
The big problem for him is if the timing doesn't work, then suddenly his opponent has the better attack, has the infestors out there, and as you can see now, we have pathogen glands nearly at this point where you start the infestors, but Red knows about the timing. He's moving out now. He knows there's a third base for Paranoid, and that's exactly where he's aiming at. He already completed his first attack upgrade, but he's waiting for +1 armor, so a slight edge for Paranoid in the upgrades.
And the longer this game goes on, if we start seeing infestors coming out, that's going to help Paranoid quite a bit, but look at the supply. Red does have the edge at the moment, and, well, he doesn't have all his roaches there, and Paranoid does have that +1 carapace, as you said.
And the Queen doesn't help in the fight just yet, but we have roaches versus roaches, a slight lead for Red, but the reinforcements, they're a lot faster for Paranoid, and the upgrades are doing quite a number on Red. The Zerg player from the Netherlands has to retreat here, and Paranoid is in full pursuit.
And as you mentioned, when a timing that Rhett was trying to do here doesn't work, you're in trouble. Because he was looking to get in there right as his opponent was teching. It didn't work. Now he's on the back foot, even losing roaches on the retreat.
And the entire time he was always also behind in Harvesters, so that plays a huge role now. We have Paranoid suddenly with a lead in overall supply. He's the one to take a 4th base first. We have him still with better upgrades. And Red is trying to go into a Hydra transition instead of going Infestors. He knows that he can't keep up with the Infestor count of his opponent at this point.
And Paranoid very smartly realizing he's ahead, builds a 4th base in the center of the map, extending his lead. Can poke and prod here, knowing that there's no way I can get trapped here. He doesn't have Infestors. Even if Red overpowers me, which he is at the moment, Paranoid can easily run away because he has roach speed. This is okay for him.
Yeah, but he has to run away really fast here because he's losing a lot Still with a slight lead in overall supply. Actually, Red just overtook him, but the Infestors, as soon as they're out, that's the big issue. Also the reason why Red doesn't pursue him, because he knows fully well, as soon as there's a fungal, he has to fight. And if he doesn't have the superior numbers, then he will just lose. And another factor, of course, the Roaches that are just running into the main base.
Main base, third base, you name it, Paranoid's there, and he's doing a lot of damage with Burrow completed as well. It's going to be very hard for Red to clean this up. He may actually lose his third base, and behind this, what we should see Paranoid doing is starting to bank up Infestors, start to build the Infestors, because that's going to be the true key in holding a potential counter-attack if Red throws only Roaches at him.
Paranoid is now just going for the numbers here. A lot more Roaches being built. He's still at 4 bases. Red only at 2 mining at this point. And you can see that the upgrades for Paranoid are also really good right now. We have him so far with only 2 Infestors. He's not really getting those Infestor numbers that you mentioned.
Ooh, that's a great fungal though.
And that's the big problem. Red can't run away. He has to take this fight.
Yeah, one more fungal's lock those down, and a great fungal. Pretty much locking all the Roaches they could physically grab. And now that's going to give Paranoid a bit of an edge. He needs to keep making units. He has the supply advantage. He has the reinforcements. And as mentioned, Paranoid can very easily upset and beat Red and knock him out of this tournament.
He's a great mirror match player, and now suddenly he's 50 supply ahead in the game. He's trying to run those Roaches down, but Red, he is in trouble. He's trying to set up another third base, but Paranoid is just ahead in every way. Economy, in the army, upgrades, you name it.
And to describe the turning point has to be when Red decided not to tech up, to not get drones on that third, to not get the gas, to invest in a bigger army, to do something while Paranoid was doing that. It didn't work, it didn't do anything.
Yeah, to go for the timing that you mentioned. And it didn't work. So right now we have him once again moving out here. And Paranoid is just getting into a better position by the minute. At this point, he is falling behind a bit in upgrades. The +2 armor upgrade for Red will soon be done. But the numbers game, it's 46 Roaches against 20.
It's 4 bases versus just about 3 once again. That obviously means that we're going to have a lot more units out there for Paranoid, and that's clearly shown by the supply numbers at the top of the screen. 170 keeps on going up with 19 more reinforcing Roaches on the way out very shortly. Red is crumbling here. Red is going to lose this first game.
GG. Red losing ground everywhere on the map. And it's Paranoid who takes the first game in the series.
That's right. And, you know, QXC predicted a 2-1 victory for Paranoid. The other two predicted a 2-0, I think it was, or a 2-1 win from Todd, 2-0 from Jarrett with Red winning. But Paranoid's a very good player, of course, from Poland as well. So a lot of the people that are going to be coming to this tournament across the weekend are going to be very happy if he's able to get into the main tournament.
And well, for entertainment, let's see what the guys at the troll desks have to say about game number 1. So back to you guys.
Thank you, Callie. Another exciting ZVZ. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Didn't quite have the double 10 pull opening that I had thought it would, or the ending. But I had a lot of fun watching it. What were the key moments, man?
Well, there were... I mean, we did see both players open with 15 hatch, and it kind of transitioned into pretty standard macro game. There was kind of a moment there where Paranoid... Rhett put down his third a bit earlier than Paranoid, and we saw that, and we looked at Paranoid's vision, and he didn't really see that the third was going down. So we kind of thought that that would be more significant in the game than it really was. Like, Rhett got his third down, Paranoid didn't scout it, but it didn't seem to convert into a huge army advantage that we really expected. Then there were a couple of engagements here and there where one player had the concave, one player didn't have the concave. They kind of went back and forth. But really the main turning point that I think was there was when Paranoid attacked basically 2 places at once. He did a run-by into Rhett's main, and at the same time he took some Roaches and he killed Rhett's third. And that put him in a very difficult spot to manage strategically. You're at a point where we've been kind of touching on this a little bit in the past games that we've talked about this. Wow, it feels like so long, but just today, where after he loses his third, if Rhett decides he just wants to play a macro game, he's just a macro game behind. So his other option is to do a big timing, and the big timing really didn't work out. So let's go to the replay, and we're going to just almost to the point where we're going to show basically Paranoid's maneuvering on the map and what allows him to create that advantageous position. So here we are. And here one thing to note is if we compare their vision, and this is kind of like a thing that's over the course of the game, Paranoid's vision is much better than Red's. And he's also got this forward creep spread. It allows him to maneuver a little more aggressively because his roaches are going to be a bit faster. Okay, so Paranoid had the little engagement here. Now he's falling back. And, oh, wait. Sorry. I actually had the time wrong, I think. Oh my god, why are my notes so bad? Okay, cool. So, Paranoid goes in, does a little bit of engagement. Ret has his whole army committed here. He forces Paranoid on the back foot, but doesn't realize that there's a big force coming into his natural. And this is really the key moment here, that the beginning of a setup for a very nice sequence of events for Paranoid. So
it looks like Paranoid has burrow and Red doesn't. So he can just burrow stuff and force overshares to move around as well, if he has to.
And so we see the roaches continue to maneuver into the main, and now Red, instead of only breaking off a small number of his units, takes basically his whole army into his main. Now he takes some of his army and moves back once he realizes that there's this counterattack at the third at the same time. Meanwhile, the roaches in the main, he does burrow, as Todd mentioned. And at the same time at the third, the roaches are able to take down this hatchery and then kind of flee. Sometimes what happens when you do play like this is you lose so many units that your opponent really can just counter and kill you. In this situation, Paranoid's able to save enough roaches at the third and get enough compensation. He kills enough drones at the main, which, not very many, but it's enough to hurt Red a little bit here.
You know what this play is called, with all the roaches and multitask and burrow? The Ro roaches. Because Roro, the Korean Zerg player, he's very good at this. He can manage like 3 groups of roaches and just basically harass everyone, burrow them.
Yeah.
He's very good at this.
And then this kind of leads up into this is really the deciding battle here. Ret goes for the big counterattack. He feels behind economically, which he should. He just lost his third. And then he kind of overextends himself, isn't really aware of what Paranoid has, steps into 1 or 2 pretty strong fungals, and once you have both an economic disadvantage and a military disadvantage, the game is basically over. So that was the kind of the main turning point in there.
And Red, he had plus level 2 carapace on the way, but he did not wait for it. It was just halfway through done, so he just attacked before he could finish.
All right, well, Paranoid takes a 1-game lead. He's up 1-0 in the best of 3. The next map is Ohana, and we're just joining the game, and we'll get that really shortly. How do you feel about Ohana, guys?
In ZVZ, I mean, we did see TLO versus Nordi on this map, where it seemed like a pretty good defensive map because of the ramp into the natural and also a relatively small choke there, but we'll have to see. Both of these players, very strong macro players, so we'll see what they bring.
All right, well, we're in the game. I'm going to give it over to the casters. Shawnee and Callie, take it away.
So guys, we are ready for game number 2. We have a 1-0 lead currently for Paranoid against Liquid Red, the potential upset that we talked about.
Yeah, it could happen right here. We're about to find out on map number 2. Yep. Is Paranoid going to go 2-0, or will Red draw it up to fight? Ready for game number 3. We'll have to find out. Ohana can be a very dangerous map, Calidor, for Zerg versus Zerg for sure.
We have once again just this potential for an early pull. And currently, to the bottom right, we have our Acer player. It is the Zerg player in the lead in red. It is Paranoid. He starts with his Overlord at 9, goes for the drone at 10, and not an early pull for him. And we won't see one either for his opponent, starting to the top left. In blue, we have the player from the Netherlands starting for TeamLiquid.net. It is Red.
That's right, and going back over to this map being very dangerous in Zerg vs Zerg is because it's such a small map, which means if somebody builds a bunch of Lings and the other guy builds a bunch of drones, it can almost decide the game a lot of times. And there are points of the game where that will happen. There will be a fork in the road for both players, choose which one you're going down, and that happens multiple times. Here, at the beginning of the game, early pull or not, choice number 1. Both of them of going for hatchery first, they're not going to do anything. Really, the next point is going to be just before speed finishes. Am I going to build a bunch of Lings, like 16, 20, or am I not? Am I going to sit back and defend? And then there becomes another one after. Am I going to go Roach Baneling all in, or not? So these different forks in the road in a Zerg vs Zerg matchup really give a lot of depth into the game. depending on who chooses what, and that's what it's going to be about in this game, I feel.
Exactly. It all depends on how aggressive you actually are, how confident you are in going for a really, really aggressive strategy. Players like Hyun in Korea will always try to pressure you early on in the game and choose one of those timings that you just pointed out. With those two that we have on screen right now, we saw in game number 1 already that they really like to go for the long game, that they don't want to go too aggressive early on. But we might see things change up a little bit. We already have a bit of a deviation in build orders, with Red taking a much earlier gas than Paranoid.
Yeah, a bit of a faster gas here from Red. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but could very easily develop into something quite dangerous and quite strong for Red, whether it's going to be straight for speed Bailings, whether it be Bailings before speed, different kind of options available for Red, different strategies to choose from. He and both, so both of them actually, are going to just try and look in. They know they've gone hatchery first each, so you can actually poke him with an Overlord before the Queen pops out and have a look at your opponent's gas. Paranoid will go in and be like, well, that's actually a good 20 seconds faster than mine, therefore Ret will have Bailings faster, Ling's speed out faster, potentially a layer faster. It really depends on how Ret wants to play it.
Quite often these subtle differences don't accumulate to anything, but you can see it happen that sometimes on the map those links meet, speed kicks in for one of those players, and suddenly you're forced to fight. You can't retreat anymore, and you have to do something about it. Might lose your entire army, the small force that you have on the map, and then lose the edge in the game. But at this point, we have even the faster speed for Paranoid. Red, with all this gas and the slight advantage that he had, starts speed a bit later, so everything just evens out again.
Yeah, he starts speed a bit later, and he had a lot of gas in the bank, so what that shows us is that he never stopped drone production. Every piece of lava, drone, drone, drone. So he doesn't look like he's going to be aggressive with this setup, because he could have had a faster speed. Therefore, he could have been stronger with his aggressive stance. Therefore, that should suggest to us now that Ret will be playing a little bit more on the back foot. Is going to build 4 links, is going to poke out, have a feel of his opponent. He has a Bailing Nest down defensively. Paranoid, on the other hand, is going identical to previously. 3 Queens, Roach Warren, and doesn't get a Bailing Nest.
Yeah, he skips it once again. With those 3 Queens, has the ability to block the ramp with 3 of them. Also, builds up a lot more energy that he can use for transfuse if need be. If he sees those Zerglings move out, then he will immediately start to make sure that there's no way for Red to get into his main base. But Red, as you already said, he's most likely not going to go for a too aggressive build. He sends a drone already out to the top right to take a 3rd base, which has been scouted by Paranoid. Question being, did Paranoid pay attention to the minimap?
We should be seeing Ret get +1 carapace here if he's going to take a fast 3rd, because I think he's going to focus a lot more on Lings and Bailings in this game. When you get the carapace, then you can defend a lot easier with Lings, but he's not doing that. He's actually going to get the +1 missile attack here and throw down a Roach Horn shortly after. With a +1 missile attack, there are certain timings he can hit with that, but still, I still feel that Ret will want to play a bit longer out.
And now the drone had to go for an extractor. Here come the Zerglings that we talked about earlier. Paranoid so far did manage to just cancel the 3rd base attempt for Red, trying to get into the main base. Not really working out for him, and he realizes it doesn't throw those Zerglings away and just retreats.
Pretty fast layer coming down from Paranoid. Not too fast, but decently timed. Doesn't have any evolution chambers down yet, only just now building the first 2. We'll see if he's going to go double upgrades from them, or whether he's just building them for a wall. There's a couple of options. If he goes double upgrade, he may not want to get the infestation pit down immediately, but if he only gets 1, he may try it faster. Ooh, nice detonation there from Ret, more so Paranoid's mistake.
Yeah. But Paranoid's still able to get the scouting information. Moves in, sees the 3rd base, and is like, well, okay, you take your 3 bases. I'm way ahead in my tech. And as you said, what are we going to see now? Double upgrades, looks like it. Already +1 attack. Or will he go for more of a timing? He tries to take his own 3rd base, but the Zerglings for Red.
Yeah, that's a really good pickup there by Red. And we are seeing double upgrades from Paranoid, so we shouldn't see the infestation pit down too fast here. Definitely more focused on getting that 3rd down. And what we may see, depending on creep spread, is a Hydra Den coming down for Paranoid instead of the infestation pit overall. Nice. Just go for a really big 3 base attack with 2 upgrades, Roach Hydra, and try to bring Ret down. But as you pointed out there with the nice comment, is once again picking off that drone. It's really good actually for Ret.
Exactly. He delays the 3rd once again, and Ret is also ahead in the upgrades. He's about to finish his +1 attack upgrade. Paranoid not there just yet. And the third base for Red, that's nothing that he has to cancel. He should be able to defend this, or will he? Gets the... Yeah, there come the Roaches, and they have the upgrade. Can two-shot a Zergling now with a +1 attack upgrade, and Red doesn't waste any time. Starts +2 immediately.
Yeah, he has +2 immediately, and that shows us that if Paranoid is looking for kind of a 2-2 timing with Hydras, Red's not going to be in too bad a position, considering he has double evolution chambers himself. He won't really be that far behind in upgrades. As we have 12 Roaches to 9 at the moment, 12 for Paranoid, as both of them will start to build drones towards the third very shortly, but still, no drones being made, as they're both building an army, but will kind of balance out the game, I suppose. No clear advantage for either of them.
Red is in a great position here. He has the faster third base, he has the better upgrades, he has all the scouting information that he could wish for, was able to sneak another Zergling into the main base of his opponent, so this is a brilliant position for him to be in. His tech finished. We have now, on the other hand, Paranoid going faster for the Hydra then, but in regards to Harvesters, Red is ahead, has the better economy, has the better numbers in general. Just, he needs to be aware that Paranoid was going for this bigger army. So now those Roaches are moving out, and Red needs to make sure that he can defend against them.
And there's the +2 attack coming in. Paranoid needs to get +2 carapace before he starts building any units now. Otherwise, it's going to be a mistake, because he definitely wants +2 carapace. He just hasn't got it yet. And the longer that goes on, likewise, Ret's going to be in the position. So if we do see Paranoid go for a Roach Hydra timing, which it seems to be, Ret's going to have 2-2 fast tower. Is not going to be that far behind in Hydras either. So quite equal at the moment. We do see Paranoid with a bit of a supply advantage, but Red has 63 drones. He's got 10 drones more. He's got better upgrades. He's going to have Hydras soon. I do quite like Red's position despite being behind in supply a little bit.
Yeah, me too. If those upgrades finish, then he will be in the perfect spot, especially now with his own Hydra Den finishing. +1 attack is nearly completed, and Paranoid didn't start +2 armor. He completely skipped it. He doesn't utilize his second evolution chamber. Yeah. We don't have any upgrades there. He will be the first one to get those Hydralisks into the game, but if he wants to do the timing, the Hydralisk will arrive at Red's base when Red has his own Roach Hydra composition.
Yeah, and we'll have his own upgrades too, as we can see, and I'm quite shocked that that Carapace upgrade hasn't come in for Paranoid. That's going to sting quite a bit, to be honest. Definitely wanted to get that in, but now he's started his Hydra production, he's not really going to stop. And that's going to hurt his overall army strength. As Rhett is starting to build his own Hydras. The difference between army supply, 45 Roaches for Paranoid, 34 for Rhett. And the Hydras are in the advantage of Paranoid at the moment too. We're going to have to just see if he can take the right fight. Remember, Rhett will be in a defensive, more spread out position, but he is going to be a couple of supply behind Paranoid when he decides to take this fight very, very shortly.
What Raid, of course, wants to do right now is to just close the gap in army supply. We have 120 against 143. Red even moving out now, feeling the confidence with the Roaches, with the Hydralisk, and his superior upgrades. +2 attack already completed. Going into the armor upgrade now. It's nearly done, but not just there yet. He needs to wait for this in order to utilize his huge advantage. And he's walking into the concave.
But Paranoid doesn't have +2 yet either, so this kind of works okay.
Yeah, Red is still ahead in the upgrades. He has an elite in the attack upgrades, but just the numbers for Paranoid in the beginning of this fight were so much better for the Acer player. But with the upgrades, Red is able to push Paranoid back, and his +2 armor just kicked in.
Yeah, this is really, really good for Red. You know, it's always been looking pretty decent for Red, and now he's pushing Paranoid back. The Hydras are getting picked off one by one there. Really good target firing there by Red. And this actually could be the draw of the series.
Yeah, Hydra's at the front. That's never what you want to have. A nice position here for Red. A lot of DPS, and Paranoid is losing ground. Red might lose the fight, but I think he's definitely going to win the war.
Yeah, this is definitely true. And as you can see, 50 roughly supply difference between the two players. The third base has been broken down. Paranoid does not have gas there compared to Rhett, who does, which means he's going to be able to increase the quality of his army consistently throughout the rest of the game as he comes marching down, Dutch flag in hand, looking to draw this series up and go to the final tie-breaking game.
And Paranoid, he is running out of steam here. He's losing unit after unit, and there it is. The GG tying things up. Red takes the game, and therefore we have a 1-1 situation now in the best-of-3 series. So
yeah. It's pretty good for Rhett now. Of course, is on kind of the ropes a little bit there after losing the first game. Looked like he could just be out of the tournament, and that's obviously not what he wants. Coming here, traveling, Team Liquid sending him here for the open bracket. Did not, you know, get a seeded position into the main tournament. Has to fight for it. Paranoid, though, putting up that fight.
Yeah, Paranoid definitely trying to make this happen, but now he has to go into game number 3, which will be on Antigua Shipyard. But let's just talk about game 2 once again, and let's see what the guys over at the analysis desk have to say about the match.
A very close game. It was close almost the whole way through, and all of a sudden Rhett just sort of pulled ahead and sealed it. What was that turning point?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of back and forth, vying for that third, trying to pressure a little bit of Ling Baneling, but none of that seemed too significant compared to that final battle.
Yeah, the big fight that started over here.
Yeah, which
like in the top side of the map. I don't know, it went so much in Red's favor. We should look at the positioning and the concave to really try to understand why it went the way it did.
Some of the stuff, like some of the third base timings, how many drones each player had, was important in setting up that battle. And as both Kaldor and Apollo were mentioning, the upgrade advantage for Rhett was very significant and very apparent here in this battle. So the army supply, we do see Rhett with a slight lead.
There is a couple Hydralisks behind.
Yep. So a couple things here is these Hydras, as Todd just mentioned, are not really dealing damage at the start. So even though Paranoid...
The upgrades are about to finish.
Yep, the upgrade is going to... and...
No, there's no range on the Hydras for Paranoid, which I think ultimately might have been the difference there.
Yeah, you're right about that as well.
Wow,
yep.
Jared!
That... Good work! Well played, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So a couple things here. Definitely we see, and take a look here. This is very important. The couple Hydras in the back, because there is no range.
The upgrades are going to finish in the middle of the fight, which is not really standard. Oh, for like 3 seconds, Red will have his... Oh, actually, it was... as he starts pulling back, his upgrade finished here. Yeah. So this was bad for Paranoid.
So basically what happens here is Rhett's got a 2-1 over Paranoid's 1-1 for the vast majority of the battle, and so he's dealing a lot more damage, and Paranoid's lacking of the range upgrade for his Hydralisk means that 3 to 5 or even 6 Hydras in the back are not dealing damage during that battle. His overall damage output is much lower, so even though it looked like Paranoid really had the position, he didn't have the upgrades, and he didn't have enough of a position to actually bring his Hydras into play without those upgrades, and that led to Red just having an overwhelming victory in that battle and consequently in the game.
All right, well, it's tied 1-1. Got to go to the deciding third game. It's played on Antigua. Is that correct? I think the players are in-game, and as soon as we get in that game, we're going to start playing it. And, well, you might be right again. You know
I think
you might have called it again. On your 2-1 Paranoid. Right? That was your call?
We'll see. I'm
uncanny.
I'm predicting...
I said 2-1 Red.
Yeah.
So only you is wrong for sure.
I think we saw that one coming.
I think Red will open 15 hatch, and I think maybe... I think they hosted the wrong map. I think Paranoid may actually go for a 10 pool, or maybe like a 10 pool speed. I would... Rhett, to me, in my mind, I always picture him as a very solid, mechanical, somewhat predictable player, where he tends to open in similar ways and he tends to play similarly throughout the early stages of the game, and he generally has 1 or 2 unit compositions that he kind of sticks to. And I don't really know much about Paranoid, so I'm kind of guessing that maybe Rhett is planning on 15 hatches almost every game, and Paranoid maybe tries to take advantage of that. I don't know. Maybe Rhett's going to mix it up for this third game, knowing what people think about him.
Yeah, he could. He's addicted to drones. That's my impression of watching Rhett play.
So is Paranoid.
Yeah, always addicted, man.
They did make a lot of drones in that last game.
We haven't had any real cheeses like in those games, and I don't think he's going to be otherwise here.
No, it was... I mean, yeah, you're right. It was really a macro game that came down to that one battle that Rhett was just set up a little bit better for.
I find making drones, it's exciting, right? It's like a gamble, because you never know if you should be maybe making some units, but you make drones instead, and when you do that, it almost feels like you just placed a bet. And I think
some
that's
people go to casino, they just make drones.
If you're a gambler, you might not want to play Zerg. It's better to not have that choice and just keep making SCVs and just keep making probes. But with Zerg, you always have the potential, like, man, I could just sneak in like 12 drones right now, and it's like, oh, I died. But hey, and I find that's why Red dies a lot. All right. Well, we're in the game, ready to go. Going to pass it over to our beautiful casters in just one moment. I hope they're ready, because I'm so ready. These guys are so ready, and I'm sure everyone at home is ready too. So please, Caldor and Sean, Apollo, Clark. We're going to kick it over.
Whatever you want to call me, Jarrett. Whatever you want to call me. After you calling out the Hydra range out of everybody else, you can call me what you want.
Yeah. The thing is, actually, I don't think that he was just ready. I think he just ran out of things to say.
Glass is half full, empty. Look at it whichever way you want to. Antigua Shipyard is going to be the next map. We've had predictions from the analysis troll desk that we are going to see a potential 10 pool coming out, most likely from Paranoid, to try and pick up the victory here and then. Remember, the winner of this very game on Antigua Shipyard advances into the main tournament. Of course, today being the open bracket qualification day for the main tournament itself, the main 24-player tournament tomorrow. $29,000 on the line tomorrow and across the next few days.
I could see an early pool here. I definitely agree with what they said, especially with QXC. I can see an early pool in a game like this. Red, as he mentioned, is known to go into the macro game to just try to go for the head first play. And if you go for this 10 pool into gas strategy that is popular in the GSL, that's definitely a chance that you can take. Roll a dice in a game like this might get you a spot in the tournament tomorrow.
And imagine if Red goes pool first.
Then, of course, things change very rapidly. So a lot of mind games going on here, especially in a best of 3 like this. You're trying to get into your opponent's head and get a bit of an edge. But it's definitely going to be a very intense game between the two of them.
I completely agree. I mean, it's about to start, so I'm quite excited to see whether Rhett's going to go on or Paranoid from Team Acer. Team Liquid versus Team Acer going head-to-head in this Zerg vs. Zerg on the 3rd game on Antigua Shipyard. Don't know which one's going through. That's what we're here to find out.
Starting to the right side, we have our Team Liquid.net player. It is Red, starting in Red today. And his opponent on the opposite side of the map to the left, we have for Team Acer Paranoid, winning game number 1, losing on Ohana. And now we have a tied series, and both of them going for the Overlord at 9.
Alright, so no early pool. Crossed off, scratch that off. And as Jarrett vividly describes, a game of gambling is about to begin. Who's going to drone and who's going to build those units? So far, it's all about the gambling today, isn't it? All drones coming.
They're going to start both with a 15 hatch once again. And Jarrett intensely watching the screen right now. You can really see that he's as excited about the game as we are.
I've never seen somebody bring a sticker book to a StarCraft game, filling in all the drones that are coming out.
He's analyzing the games as we speak.
If only he was casting, let me just say that.
We have to make that happen this weekend.
I'm sure Jarrett Kale will jump on the microphone on the casting booth once this weekend if you guys ask for it. He'd love to cast the Protoss game, especially Parting too. He's a big Parting fan. Not as big as MC, but, you know, you get as good as you're given here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
Well, if what Todd says is true, then he has to do it soon then, because, well... No, I'm not going to troll that much. I'm going to draw the line right here. He's already looking at me like really angry. Well, guys, we have the hatch first opening for both of our players. And a very, very late pool for Red, who gambles a lot here and plays this very, very greedy, even with the gas before pool.
Yeah, gas before pool. And both of them will see it as well. Their respective overlords going in, checking out, as Paranoid goes in. It's like, well, there we go. I think the overlay is a little bit wrong, or at least the colors for the players. So I'm looking at Paranoid being red in the top right in the overlay, but it's red, isn't it? But yeah. Nevertheless, I'm sure that'll get fixed as the game continues on. There's Paranoid sending that overlord darting through the middle.
I actually fell for that trap, so it is actually Paranoid who sneaks in the gas before the pool and plays things a little bit greedier in the opening.
Yeah, it'll get fixed shortly.
Nice catch.
No problem. It's okay. Eagle Eyes over here, some call me. Some call me a snooker player, but I'll set off Eagle Eyes. As both hatcheries getting their drones down there very shortly, and we'll start to see the effect of the gas being taken. There's a speed down for...
Red.
Fell for it. Fell for it.
And we have an early evolution chamber for Paranoid.
That's right. We're going to have to tread softly on our words as this gets sorted out. Oh, there we go, all done. As we can easily identify who is who now, as the Bailey Nest comes down for Rhett. Look how fast that was.
Look how much gas Paranoid currently has. He's about to complete his Evolution Chamber, and then we will most likely see him with a Carapace upgrade, and there it is, on the production tab. So him already starting off a little bit defensively, not getting a Bailey Nest, not getting the speed as fast, whereas Red now has all the weapons at hand that he could use to pressure Paranoid in this early.
Yeah, this could be very deadly with that Carapace when that finishes up. I mean, we talked about how, you know, the Bailings take an extra hit to kill the Lings. That works two ways. It works defensively, which means he's going to be better against Bailings coming at him, but it can also work aggressively. For example, if he was trying to bring down a third of Ret, Bailings wouldn't do as much damage as they would do normally, and he's got the Carapace before he even got speed. That's a super fast Carapace.
And the thing is, he changed his complete build so much. Red encountered the same strategy of Paranoid in Game 1 and in Game 1 and in Game 2. And now in the third game, suddenly Paranoid changes everything. So how does that affect Red? Will Red actually reading this, or is he going to make assumptions at this point already that will prove to be completely false?
Well, he has a Ling to try and scout something, but
a lazy Ling.
It's a lazy Ling. It's a double L Ling as it moves in. No. Well,
it's a scared Ling.
It is a scared Ling. He just checks the gases on the natural, checks the drone count a little bit, and feels that he is safe to expand. He's seen that there are quite a few drones on that natural. He's going to send in more than one now. He's going to try and get through double Queen block there. There you go. That's a good little defense setup. He has no idea whether that's actually going to be a layer or units, and as we can see, as map hacking observers and viewers, there are a lot of goddamn Lings being made. There is not a Bailing Nest, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's good with Bailings, of course, but it's even better with just Lings. Well, not even better, but just as good.
He spotted a lot of those Zerglings, though, with the second Ling that he ran in, and now he's getting those Bailings immediately up to 4, already the +1 attack upgrade for the Roaches that he will try to use against this. And Red is just getting Zerglings out there, so he knows something is happening, something is off.
Does he have enough Bailings, though? As these Lings are going to endure an extra hit from these Bailings. He only has 4 at the moment. This is a little bit squarey for Red.
Well, he's trying to defend his third base, but in addition to those Bailings, we have Zerglings too, so of course the upgrades are much better for Paranoid, but Red, he knows what's up and he will try to defend here. Ling against Ling, the Bailings still with the Dance of Death, trying to get into a position, but the Zerglings of Paranoid going for a run by.
Oh, Red should just give up his third base. He's never ever going to keep that third base alive. He's going to have to really try to defend these Roaches with the Bailings. It is possible to hold here for Red, but that third, I think he just has to say goodbye.
Right now, I feel he can do it. If his +1 attack upgrade really finishes well, the armor upgrade of Paranoid is going to cancel it out. But still, there's so many units on the map now for Red that he should be able to defend here. And Paranoid realizes it, getting his own third as we speak.
Red's defending in multiple areas really well. It's not just Paranoid's good multitasking to go across different locations. It's Red's good defending as well. And I thought that he would have to say goodbye to that third if it was targeted down, but it wasn't. We see Red being able to handle it. There are a lot of Lings still on the way, but Ret has +1 now, I think, on his Roaches.
Yeah. We have +1 on the Roaches, but on the other hand, the armor upgrade for Paranoid, we're just cancelling it out, at least when it comes to the Roach versus Ling battle. The tech is a little bit faster for Paranoid here, who has not only the third base, but also a macro hatch, and therefore superior production.
Is Ret going to go and chase those Lings, though, back at home, as we see a couple of Bailings make their way to defend against these Lings?
Uh-oh, yeah, and those Zerglings, they are out for blood. They're trying to take down more drones. So far, he didn't kill a single one. He can't really do the damage that he's hoping for. He always needs to run away from those Banelings.
And Ret sends units back home to defend. He's also sending units to attack as well. Roach is guarded by some Banelings here. Good use of the Banelings, waiting for a great detonation onto the large clump as he makes his way towards this third base. Goes onto the Queen there. Bit of a misclick by Ret. We'll see if he's going to be able to have a good position here on that ramp.
That's a great position here. Those Zerglings can't get the surface area, no surround, and Red is now pushing his way up the ramp, going for the third base immediately. Paranoid has the fast attack, but does that really help him at this point?
22 Lings on the way. If they can get a good surround on these Roaches, it's possible to save this hatchery. Red is already going down.
Red is already far ahead in the harvest account. 44 against 37. He has started his own speed for the Roaches. We have the infestation pit halfway done. Paranoid's run bys don't do as much damage as he was hoping for. And at the same time, he's losing his third base to Red.
Yeah, he lost his third to Red. And a crazy, mind-blowing game. Very explosive with the amount of action we've just seen from both players. Lots of action all over the place, but the end line the end of the story, the bottom line here is that Rhett is ahead.
Yep.
84 supply to 76. Roaches are better than Lings.
But he can't save his third base after all. Paranoid is running in once again.
Should have had some bailings there with those Roaches, but he was afraid of Lings running into his main base, and that's a little bit unfortunate there.
And it changes things again.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Paranoid is not in the bad spot that we thought he would be in. He's only going for his own third base. He's even in roughly this, he's actually ahead in the roach count with 20 to 16, but the problem for him is still with the economy. He's down to 36 harvesters against 48, so Red has the better income, even though he's also only mining from 2 mineral lines.
And he also has the, pathogen glands on the way. He's going to have infestors shortly. 3 roaches donated as a gift there to Ret, and now with the amount of units in the supply that Ret is slowly reaching towards, he shouldn't have any more problems with harassment. He's locked down 3 bases from what it seems now. When infestors are out, yeah, definitely. And if he starts to keep building his composition, he doesn't necessarily need to go and attack right now. All he needs to do is keep building up. But at the meantime, Paranoid is not reaching over 36 drones.
Yeah.
He's not droning towards that third base. He's building nothing but roaches in a hope that Ret builds drones towards there. And as mentioned before by Jared, it is a gambling state. Does Ret build drones or not? And at this stage, he is not doing that. He's building infestors and roaches, which will lead to a defense against what Paranoid's doing.
Yeah, the army for Red is currently being built, and now Paranoid is just hoping for his opponent to be too greedy, but Red, he's losing an Overlord here, being supply blocked for a second, which will slow him down, but he has the army down there, and of course Paranoid, he wanted to kill that Overlord to make sure that Red has no idea what's happening. And Paranoid, realizing that he most likely will not be able to crush through the army of his opponent, is going into drones now, trying to play that catch-up game, but it's definitely going to be very difficult against all those infestors and roaches of the player from the
Red
Netherlands.
really wants his roaches and infestors together here. There's a whole lot of roaches for Paranoid, which I don't think he really knows about. But together as one, Red has a unit, as we like to call it. The +2 attack, the infestors together, that's a beautiful army.
The third base for Red is gone though, and he's pushing into the third of Paranoid, and Paranoid won't be able to save it, but we have just a run-by attempt by Paranoid, so this is going to be a base race.
Yeah, this is kind of a little bit awkward right now. Oh no, the infestors!
Oh, he snipes them.
Oh,
he gets all of them.
He doesn't have Burrow either. That's kind of important for Ret there.
The circling finishes off the last infestor. Even if Fungal was not able to save it, and now we have suddenly 106 army supply for Paranoid.
Oh my god, that changes
Ret
everything.
Is at 90, and the roach drone is gone.
That changes everything. 4 locked and loaded infestors, and now we actually see army value very similar. Paranoid in a lead. They're fighting in the middle. This just got interesting.
And it got really interesting because we still have that third base for Paranoid. He never really killed it. There are a few roaches over there. Can Red take it out? Apparently he can. Paranoid doesn't even try to defend it. Both of them are back to 1 base.
Remember guys, the winner of this game is through to the main tournament. The loser, there's no second chances now. They both had their second chance. This is their second chance. So right now, we're about to find out who's going to make it through. And we see 24 roaches for Ret, 29 for Paranoid.
Yeah. Well, this is getting crazy.
Upgrades too.
Look at the drones. We have 1 drone left for Ret.
And where's that drone?
Paranoid still has 12. Yeah, where are those drones? Because they both have enough money to just build another hatch.
I don't know where Ret's 1 drone is. He's lost that 1 drone. He's defeated.
Ret is defeated. The elimination game is over.
Paranoid
the base race. Paranoid with a 2-1. He takes the series, advances, and the Team Liquid player, he's out.
Wow. I didn't know the drone was there amongst the army of Paranoid. And that's it. That's it.
Wow.
He's got no buildings left. He's eliminated. And Paranoid has done it. QXC is right again with another prediction. 2-1 Paranoid, knocking Liquid Red out of the tournament. Before it even begins, because this is the open bracket.
Exactly. Well, things are certainly getting crazy here at IEM, but what have the guys at the analyst desk have to say about the last game? Can they entangle this mess? Guys, what's going on here?
One thing that I thought was...
Incredible game. I was so prepared to yell excitedly that both Liquid players were advancing out of the open bracket. I do not get to say that. What happened, man?
I was right! I was right again! Sorry. I thought we were just going to talk about the game, but I guess we're going to talk about other things. One thing that I thought was really interesting to note about that game is Paranoid never went above 2 gas. Ret basically he went up to 4 gas, which is very typical, relatively early, and that allows you to transition out of roaches into infestors, into pathogen glands, into the gas-heavy stuff, +2 mass infestors type of thing. And Paranoid just stayed on those 2 gases. It allowed him to make a lot of roaches relatively quickly, and it helped him kind of stay even in terms of army, even though he did take a decent amount of damage. I thought one of the great moves by Paranoid there was he was probing with his speedlings. He was able to kind of sneak them past the roaches and snipe that 3rd at one point. But really the main, I think probably one of the most important things that happened was losing
those 4 infestors?
Yeah, the infestors. Paranoid had his army kind of in a strange place. That base trade started happening.
Yeah. Basically, like, in the game, at 14 minutes mark, Paranoid, I feel like he sees Red coming for him, and he was probably afraid that Red will have more army than him, or maybe he knew that Red had infestors already. So he kind of chose to go around and base trade. Like, he had those links trying to do some damage here, and Red completely ignored this. He wanted to finish the game. He knew he had infestors. So he was hesitating for a second, but now he goes for the rocks. And Paranoid, he sees this, and he was very afraid of this attack. So yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure he expected the infestors to be behind this, and basically this army would have a rough time against roaches plus a couple infestors. So he chooses to go for the base trade here, and really tries to manage better than his opponent.
Yep.
So this base has already been taken out, and now he's just going to move up the ramp as soon as possible.
Go. Okay,
in the meantime, we have the roaches catching the infestors here. Only 1 fungal was used, and I mean, this is such a huge mistake by Reds not to keep his units grouped better. After roaches cover the infestors, and losing those infestors like this basically put him in a horrible position. Paranoid started pulling ahead army-wise, but they still had to eliminate each other. The problem of Red is that he was stuck here inside of his base when he realized this was going to be a base trade, so he didn't have time to sneak out a drone. So how does he avoid being eliminated here? If he comes back, I'm not even sure he has time to defend.
If you go to the Ret's 3rd, go to his 3rd, there's actually one larva there. So if Ret
no more.
Yeah, no more. If Ret had been a little more mindful of what was going to happen in the base trade situation, he potentially could have gotten a drone out. But basically what happened is because Paranoid was able to kill the 3rd before the base trade situation started, you kind of think like, oh, my 3rd is gone, there's nothing left there. So you don't think to check for maybe 1 or 2 larvae that could still be there, because just 1 or 2 drones.
But he had the overload. Imagine if he saw the larva and he's like, send everything, don't let him escape.
Yeah, but if the 3rd is gone, like even as in Paranoid's position, you've got a lot more kind of important things that you're worried about. Like, he gets a couple drones out from other places to build those extractors. He's trying to make sure he's eliminating his opponent as quickly as he can. And then, boom, the game just ends with the supply in Paranoid's favor. And wait, can you open the units tab?
Barely.
Yeah, so this could have ended up as a draw, I think.
Oh, it was 1-1 against 2-0 actually, upgrade-wise. Yeah, pretty crazy game.
Potentially, if both players, let's say both players had only 1 drone left or no drones left, and they had 1 building at the top of the ramp, with the supply so close, one player could have concaved the top. There would have been no way to break it, no real alternatives. And
Fred had made a gas here, and then Paranoid eliminated Red here, but he had like 1 gas left here, and he camped here, then nothing could have been done. Because they didn't have burrow too, I think.
Yeah, both players did have enough money to build a hatchery, so it's pretty unlikely it would have gone into that position, but base trades like that can get pretty crazy. It's hard to keep track of everything that's going on. And Paranoid just did a little bit better job of it, putting his roaches in that place to snipe the infestors, getting the drones out to build the extractors, avoiding getting eliminated. And
a much better job, too, I would say. Like, this snipe on the infestors was really, like, it's hard to do. Like, you really need to have some good game sense and really jump on the opportunity. I really think this would have been a completely different game, like, and Red would have won easily if those infestors had gotten some good fungals out on whichever units were in Paranoid's base.
Yeah, the infestors do make a huge difference, especially, I think they were getting close to 150 energy.
So congratulations to Paranoid from Team Acer.
Yep, Paranoid, another Polish player, does make it into group stage at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice.
And when the fans are here tomorrow, he's going to get a lot of cheers, I'm sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Today, the stadium's actually empty. It's just us, just casting, us and the players. But tomorrow, this place is going to be packed. It's unbelievably cool. If you haven't seen pictures, you can check them out on Twitter. There's like panoramic shots of this mega stage. I think it's the most epic Intel Extreme Masters event to date. Going to be really cool. We are going to cut to a commercial, and when we come back, we're going to have our first Protoss versus Terran of the tournament. The drunken Terran, Tarson, against Mouse Mana. It's going to be awesome. Don't go anywhere.